So it's taken 13 weeks, Dave Hyde, for the Miami Dolphins to finally produce a losing team. Losing record. The whole season, the Dolphins have been hovering at or above 500 this season. After that 3-0 start, you get a little cushion and it helps you build that support system. But right now, following Sunday's 27-24 loss to the Indianapolis Colts, a fourth quarter defeat, the Dolphins are below 500. That fourth quarter loss was painful, and it provided plenty of hints, and we'll discuss a lot of them on X's and Omar today. Dave, what did you take from the Dolphins' fourth quarter loss to the Indianapolis Colts?
Nothing good, Omar. The idea for 7 years with Ryan Tannehill and 3 years with this regime is belief. Trust.
Belief in who?
In him. They made all sorts of decisions to keep him as a quarterback, paid him a lot. Time after time, they've backed him. And then when it gets time to, in the fourth quarter, to put a game on his shoulder pads, oh no, we're going to run the ball twice, 3rd and 10 into the line. If we want to sit here and judge Ryan Tannehill, they don't even give the ball to him to allow people to judge him. That was football malpractice by Adam Gase.
Malpractice, really? Here's my problem with the whole 3rd and 10, you're running 2 draws, you don't trust your quarterback approach. If the Indianapolis Colts is playing a quarters defense, which they did, and they've got 4 men at the line of scrimmage with 5 blocking it, and you've got an elusive back in the backfield, not to say that it was the right call or the right approach.
You're defending
No.
Well, then,
I'm defending,
what are you doing?
I'm defending the offensive approach, which is take what the defense gives you. Now, if you don't like that offensive approach, you've got the wrong coach.
Well, I tell you what, let's flip that around. Andrew Luck, 3rd and 9. Why weren't the Dolphins in quarters? Why didn't they do the same defense? Why don't they
you
do
should
that?
wonder. Yeah, you should ask that question, Dave.
That makes no sense. This was a time Ryan Tannehill had to pass a test. It wasn't even put to him, though. Disappointing.
Disappointing.
On a franchise level, not on a quarterback level. Your whole franchise has rallied around this guy for 7 years, and you don't put a game on his shoulders like that.
No more selling hope, huh, Dave? No more selling hope.
I'm done. I'm out.
See, here's the problem that I have with the whole out crew. And I recently wrote a column breaking down all of your quarterback options, and I presented 13 of them for you in terms of Derek Carr, who you're probably going to have to trade a first-round pick for, Sam Bradford, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning. You want Teddy Bridgewater, trading for Joshua Dobbs. I presented every quarterback on the table, including draft one in the first round, probably have to trade up resources, or select one in the second round early, which is a possibility. Now, I am all for competition. I think Ryan Tannehill has never won. I know he's never won the starting quarterback job. David Garrard beat him out, then he got hurt, then Ryan Tannehill was gifted the starting quarterback job over Matt Moore. I would love to have seen him compete. But here's the problem I have with the whole I'm out crowd. And do what?
Well, Omar, let me ask. 2 years ago, were you saying the Dolphins should trade up for Jared Goff for Carson Wentz? Last year, or that was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, at this time, were you saying, let's trade up for Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Okay, well, you're not saying it now. There are options out there that if you're invested in this 24/7, as the franchise should be, they have to go out and see. And the sad part of it is they put themselves in this predicament. They're desperate for a quarterback.
Absolutely.
The time to get a quarterback
is when you don't need one.
Exactly. And so, if they have to look, Arizona's going to be the worst team in the league, it looks like.
Yeah, Oakland's pushing there.
Okay, Oakland will probably need a quarterback because they're going to try to trade Derek Carr.
You interested in Derek Carr?
Not at all.
All right.
And Arizona doesn't need a quarterback, assuming they like what Josh Rosen's done.
Josh Rosen's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
The idea being the number one pick will be out there, probably to be taken. And it's too early to say, as it was 3 years ago when Jared Goff was traded up for and Carson Wentz was traded up for, and it's too early as 2 years ago when Patrick Mahomes was out there for anybody to take, that what the options are right now.
Let's get into our question. We'll discuss these quarterbacks because we got a rookie bad quarterback coming in the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. We'll discuss bad quarterbacks later in the show. But right now, let's get to our first question, which comes from Mo Money 76. Was last Sunday's loss finally an indication that we need to start over because we don't have a head coach or a quarterback we need to get to the next level?
Well, I'm going to hold off on the head coach. All right, that's for
what makes you hold off on the head coach?
Because there's still time left. Okay.
Time to do what?
Well, time to sway my opinion on this. Or to
you referred to these 5 games?
The time to decide head coaches and GMs and all that is the end of seasons, not in end of November, beginning of December. Okay. Quarterback, 7 years. As I said, I'm out. Time to move on. And here's the odd thing about this. For years, I've been defending Tannehill, and you've been this guy saying he can't do it. Now we've switched roles. What's happened to us?
Here's my problem with the whole situation. You can say you're out, but Tannehill will be the number 1 quarterback option if depending on how you feel about Derek Carr. If he's released on the street.
Okay,
so I'm getting rid of the number 1 quarterback or number 2 quarterback option when I could easily keep him, get him competition, and make him compete.
Let's think about this. He's missed 2 seasons,
okay.
1 season and parts of 2 others. He's going to be 31. Do you want to invest your franchise in that?
I want to.
Forget his talent level.
I don't want to become the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills. That's what I don't want to become.
That's what you want to become.
Why do I want to become that?
Because you want a team to say, like Buffalo did last year at this time. And
it wasn't good
enough.
but
it's not good enough. And so we might have to take a step back.
To take a step forward?
So that's their idea. And that's ultimately, if you decide you don't have one of those top 7 or 8 quarterbacks that can win a Super Bowl, that can lift a whole franchise up, you got to be constantly looking for that guy. And the Dolphins, the one thing we agreed on, they've never looked for that guy.
They've never looked for that guy. And they've never wanted Chad Henne or Ryan Tannehill to compete. Never. Never felt comfortable with it, which is their number 1 failure, in my opinion. Here's question number 2 from Zachary, who wants to know, do you think that an 8-8 season would save Gase's job? Will beating the Bills twice and pulling off a victory against the Vikings or Jags or Patriots keep him safe?
Well, again, that's for a later show, but at least for me, you can answer. But to me, beyond the record, I want to know what's his plan. If he's saying, I still believe in Tannehill, he's our guy, we're going to make all decisions. I'm sorry, you're out. You can't do that.
You're firing him if he says,
I want to know his plan. I want to know the plan.
You're Steve Ross, and I come to you and I say, I know it hasn't looked good for the last couple of years, but I played 25 games without Ryan Tannehill, and I have a 21-22 record as a head coach. Right now, if you look at the situation that Tannehill has to play with, the 2 games that we've lost in the 4th quarter against the Cincinnati Bengals, against the Indianapolis Colts, we had a shell of an offensive line. We had injuries. At receiver, I had to play that. Hold on, wait, let me finish.
Especially if a coach is going to the injury thing.
Yeah, he's definitely going to the injury thing.
The larger point to be fair, and there's a later question on this, is the building of the roster. Okay, we're all targeting Adam Gase and Ryan Tannehill. There's a larger issue. Yeah.
You said the building of the roster was flawed 30 years. I said the building of the roster was flawed. It's just not good enough.
Right.
And ultimately, we're seeing it fall apart here. The thought process between what you did last offseason, whether you want to agree with Mike Pouncey and Ndamukong Suh, Jarvis Landry, the jettisoning of veteran players, hell, even Michael Thomas, Damian Williams, core guys that were culture guys, and then you want to change the culture. Okay, well, what has changing the culture done for you?
For the last 15 years, in different ways, they have gone with a cross-your-fingers blueprint. Cross your fingers, things go right, people stay healthy, our quarterback takes the next step. I'm sorry. Anyway, we can get into that later. Let's go. Our next question, Omar, comes from Solomon Matola, why aren't the Dolphins converting points from turnovers?
The offense isn't good enough. And it's consistently hasn't been good enough. If you're talking about 3rd down issues, they've had 3rd down issues all 3 years of Adam Gase's tenure. Right now, I think the only thing that's even changed about this offense is that they've committed more to the running game. They're consistently rushing for over 100 yards. Whether you like the fact that Frank Gore is the lead back, no, you don't. Or you want to get Kenyon Drake the ball more. They're committing to the run. But when it comes to execution on third downs, it's been horrible. This season, red zone has been horrible, which is an aberration because Adam Gase has been good in red zone the previous 2 years. And that comes down to weaponry. Where's your tight end? This tight end was supposed to be a red zone monster. And I watched him in practice. He can do it. Now, it's not going to be easy, but you got to scheme it up. And right now, they're not scheming it up to be successful. So even when this defense does give them turnovers, and they have been good at giving them turnovers, Dolphins are +6 in the turnover differential. That's usually a winning team, even though the Cleveland Browns have at the high lead the league in turnover differential. But it's just not good enough in terms of the execution on offense.
Yeah, I agree. Simply put, they don't score enough points. Whether it's off turnovers or just off punts or whatever, they just don't score enough points. Okay, Omar, the Dolphins finally saw Ryan Tannehill return to the field, joining his teammates as a starting quarterback after sitting out 5 games with a capsule injury in his shoulder. Tannehill produced a 119.4 passer rating, throwing for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. His team lost to Andrew Luck, who pulled off an impressive fourth quarter comeback. When Miami needed a good drive, the Dolphins offense produced 2 straight 3-and-out possessions. Who do you blame, Omar?
I blame the entire offense because I can't sit here and say play calling was the issue because bad pass to Kenny Stills on one of those plays. They didn't gain anything on first and second downs. When you don't gain anything on first and second down, that's an execution issue. I mean, offensive line, they blew up Frank Gore at the line of scrimmage on one of those running plays. Kenny Stills, the Pels put a little bit behind him, but he doesn't bring it in. Kenny Stills again on the screenplay to Devontae Parker. Bad call, in my opinion. But I understand the thought process behind the call. You want a pass that's not an incompletion because you need the clock to run. The problem is who you have out there blocking, and Kenny Stills isn't that great of a blocker. Problem is you don't have any other options.
Well, let's go to this. Without a tight end, without Devontae Parker doing anything, your options are limited. Now, that said, if I'm the coach, the last thing I want to do is be a reason we lost. Okay. You're never going to be the reason you won because the players are going off the field. But you don't want people questioning. Look, and Adam Gase said it on Monday in his press conference, which they expected a blitz from one side. It came from the other side, right into their play. I'm sorry, that means you got outcoached.
Yeah.
If the other team's running a blitz into right where your play is, they saw something or they got lucky. But either way, you're out. And then you throw in the 2 third and 10s. We've gone over this, but that is not a winning play call. That is a coach. And we got all over Joe Philbin for being queasy.
Yeah.
When he admitted I felt queasy, right? And that became a defining game in Joe Philbin. This was a defining game in Adam Gase's thing when he would not allow, again, the quarterback he's invested 3 years in, and this franchise has invested 7 years in, not to try to win a game.
Here's my issue with the people who I technically do not question play calls.
Me too.
I don't. I've looked at that defense. I've watched the coach's film and looked at what the Colts gave them. And I said to myself, nothing is going to develop unless maybe you move the pocket and have him roll out left, roll out right. But if you're the coach and you're fearing they're blitzing into where you're rolling out, tricky situation.
And I get back to Indianapolis 3rd and 9. Why they said,
weren't the Dolphins running quarter package?
And you know what? Adam Luck got a great blitz. He had to change the ball from one hand to the other and back to his throwing hand.
That was just a play that a great quarterback makes. And there should have been a holding call on that play.
Okay.
If that holding call is called, the game might be different. Andre Branch got held. Now, yes, 2 other defenders missed bringing down the sack. But that's the play that elite quarterbacks make.
And I tell you, the 2 plays lost in that loss. One was Xavier Howard with a personal foul in the end zone after the Colts scored, gave the Colts a very short kickoff to which they could pin the Dolphins back, and then you throw on top of that.
Sonoris Perry decides to come
Well,
out.
there were two penalties, and they took one of them on the kickoff. A rare time we point the finger at the special teams, the one unit that's done well. But, again, those are marks. One, lack of discipline on Xavier Howard's part. Good teams don't take that penalty. And then, I'm not going to get too blaming on a special teams holding or whatever. Those happen all the time. But you put the two together and...
He shouldn't have come out with the ball.
Right.
Trifecta has a good one. Tight ends have been a flop. Aging offensive line, upgrades during the duration. Upgrade have durability issues. It took Gase half a season to figure out how to make Drake effective. I'm sure you would disagree with that. Injuries derailed the season, but shouldn't Gase be held accountable for his offense?
Yes, and injuries shouldn't derail the season. I'm sorry. You can go to every roster, and I've said this before. New England played without their top running back, top offensive lineman, and top receiver, and beat Green Bay by 2 touchdowns. Okay,
Your team, Baltimore, is winning right now without their starting quarterback.
They're 2-0 with their backup quarterback. I mean, teams have injuries, and yes, the Dolphins have had a significant amount of injuries. But do you think injuries decided that game on Sunday? Did you think injuries lost the game in Cincinnati? I mean,
What lost the game?
Huh?
What lost the game?
Ryan Tannehill. And Adam Gase will say, well, the injury to our left tackle. And yes, Laramie Tunsil got hurt, which caused Tannehill to be. But they didn't have a left tackle in reserve.
He wasn't active.
He wasn't active. I mean, these are.
That's a coach's decision. Miami's offense ranks 28th in yards per game, 316. 20th in yards per play, 5.5. 29th in third downs, Dave, converting 34%. And 20th in rushing yards per game at 106.5.
Why? Answer me that. Why? Why are they there?
Not enough talent on the team. And the quarterback does not elevate the level of talent on this team.
I agree.
I've said that for 7 years.
Yep.
And until you find a quarterback who's going to elevate the level of talent, you're never going to win more than 10 games. The problem is, and this is where we have a disagreement, I don't want to go to the abyss. I know what the abyss is. It's coming on Sunday. It's Josh Allen. It's Josh Rosen.
Well,
it's
let me
Sam Darnold.
No, let me ask this. What's the difference between the Dolphins at 5-6
Okay.
and the Bills at 4-7 with a rookie quarterback who've won 2 games and are possibly, we'll see, on the rise?
They'll draft better. I don't think they field a more competitive team. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to who's favored to win this game, but I would have to believe it's the Dolphins.
But there's no difference between the Dolphins and the Bills right now.
I disagree with you.
Record-wise, there's no difference.
Which quarterback would you rather have on the field on Sunday for your game?
That's not the question.
No, that's a question I want to answer.
That is not.
Josh Allen or Ryan Tannehill? Which quarterback would you rather have on the field on Sunday playing for the team that you care about?
For 2 teams not going to the playoffs, that's irrelevant. The question is,
you didn't answer the question, Dave.
Okay, for Sunday, Tannehill. But for every other Sunday going forward, I want Josh Allen. He gives a chance. You don't know where his ceiling is. You know where Ryan Tannehill's ceiling is.
That is fair. That is fair.
Okay. All right, Omar. Denny Wilkinson asks, can talent of offense do more than what Adam Gase is choosing to call, or is he maximizing a badly constructed roster?
I don't want to sit here and blame all of the offense's issues on management, because I have a hard time believing that Adam Gase didn't have a say in which tight end he drafted. Mike Gesicki has been a flop, a failure. I don't want to sit here and say
as a rookie, second-round pick. You're not calling his whole career a failure yet, are you? I'm trying to help you out here, Omar.
You trying to give me wiggle room?
Yeah, I'm trying to give you some wiggle room.
Give me some wiggle room?
I see that Mark Duper's second-round pick was awful his first year. Became a great player. Xavier Howard was okay as a rookie.
He was okay. He was decent. Has Mike Gesicki been okay?
No, but I'm saying...
Here's my problem with the Mike Gesicki selection. And this is where I'm uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable the minute it happened.
You were.
Well, I was like, and then you doubled it down by making it worse by saying, okay, we know he can't block. We know he's not physical enough to be a football player, so we're going to take another tight end. And Durham Smythe had a decent game last week. Physicality is the number one ingredient that you need to be a good football player. He is not physical. Has never been physical. He's been athletic. He's never been physical. So then you Pair on top of it, he's a long strider, which means it takes him a while to get build up, which means it takes him a minute to create separation. Well, that's not going to work in the NFL. I'm sorry, but you basically have a big receiver who can't create separation. How is that successful?
Here's what I would say. Either they got real problems there, which is for a second round pick, you don't want a guy who can't contribute. Now, are they not putting them in the right positions? Are they not coaching them up?
Fair. That's fair.
Remains to be seen, because there are things he can do.
Generally, more times than not, when he gets the ball, bad things happen. You will agree with that.
Okay, back to the question. The roster,
It's fundamentally flawed. Fundamentally flawed on a number of accords. Kenny Stills has been invisible for the last 6 weeks. Part of the reason you could blame on the fact that Brock Osweiler can't throw what he eats off. Brock Osweiler can't throw a deep ball, so Kenny Stills is null and void. But he should be doing other things.
is that all Kenny Stills can do?
Hell, no, you're right. And the problem that I have with the whole Kenny Stills problem is he's the only healthy receiver at this point.
Absolutely. That's what I don't understand.
He should be doing more. Now, you had him in the slot because of Danny Amendola's injury. Have Kenny Stills run a drag. Like, have Kenny Stills run an out. Where are the staples of this offense? What are the staples? Bubble screens? Like, if all you're doing is throwing horizontally all game long. Tannehill, his rookie season, he threw a beautiful 15-yard out. He ate all season off the 15-yard out to Brian Hartline. Are you telling me that you can't have somebody run that and him throw it? That to me, it's more coaching than it is personnel.
All right, David has our next question. All we hear about are Gaze and Mike Tannenbaum. Where does Chris Greer fit in or out of the team's future?
Well, I think you got to start with Charles Harris. The vision there was flawed. You drafted a 3-4 outside linebacker to play 4-3 defensive end. And then 2 years later, he can't set the edge. So you can't trust him to be on the field on a regular basis. You go out and you get Robert Quinn because you can't trust him to be developed.
How's Robert Quinn doing?
Yeah, he's not doing good either. The roster development, or you built this team to be defensively, these ends are supposed to eat. They're supposed
Let's
to get
remember,
after the quarterback.
4 of the top 6 paid players on the Dolphins defensive ends. And they have what, I don't know where they're 29th or 30th.
Yeah, they got 18
Awful.
sacks.
Awful.
They're awful. And you can blame it on injuries, but even
No,
when they were
we're
healthy.
not blaming that on injuries.
Yes, even when, I was making a point.
Okay.
Even when they were healthy, they were awful.
And you know what? Cam Wake's actually having a good year by analytics. He is rushing, he's getting pressure on the passer 20% of the time, 16% of the time, which by analytic stats put him second in the league, Omar. You're not buying the analytic stats.
You know I'm not an analytics guy.
Well, there's...
Is Cam Wake that you can that he's always been?
No, he's not. But is he at 36 still okay?
So we're attaching age?
Yeah, absolutely. He's still your best defensive end.
He is.
And that's unfortunate considering who else you had out there.
David has our next question. Oh, actually, we answered David's questions. Chris Ulcia has a good question about Darren Rizzi. His group has consistently been good through multiple regimes. Why don't we hear Darren Rizzi's name being considered for a head coach position either in Miami or elsewhere?
Yeah, I think you're going to start hearing it. Now, what he goes against, of course, very simply is special teams.
Hey.
You got Harbaugh in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. You have Bill Cowher in Pittsburgh going back years, who was special teams coach and became great. But in general, you don't have special teams coaches being elevated for the simple reason that owners and fans and everybody else looks at who's the hot offensive coordinator, who's the hot defensive coordinator. Really, one thing this Dolphins coaching carousel over the past 20 years or so has taught me is what matters: leadership, a guy who can command the room. And because who did it? Who were the best coaches here? Obviously Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Nick Saban, 3 guys who commanded rooms. Now,
wasn't it good?
Oh, he was great. Come on, look at what he's done in Alabama.
Was he good here?
If he had a quarterback, if he had flipped the coin and taken Drew Brees, he would be winning big here. He'd be competing against New England. We'd be going to Super Bowls at times. We'd be New Orleans, Omar. Come
Well,
on.
New Orleans, you know who's building New Orleans?
Yeah, we know, Jeff Ireland. but let's not go. But they got a system in place, okay? And Nick Saban had a system here. But anyways, back to the idea. You need leadership, a voice, some guy who can lead. You can find people to find talent and run offenses and call plays and all that stuff. Who's going to lead and set the big blueprint direction of a team?
How is Miami's leadership?
Not good. Not good.
Interesting. You're watching X's and Omar, which is brought to you by Gulfstream Park, which is home of world-class thoroughbred racing, dining, shopping, and the home of the $60 million Pegasus World Cup. We're here at Yard House. Dave, the entire AFC East is weak, probably the weakest it's ever been in years. But nobody has it worse than the Buffalo Bills, which have regressed coming off a playoff berth last season. Josh Allen has started the roughest of all the rookie quarterbacks. And keep in mind, he is the quarterback that Miami could have selected if they had not gone with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Josh Allen has a 65.2 passer rating, which you know, in his 6 starts, he's completing 52.5% of his passes, Dave. 52.5% of his passes. He's thrown for 141 yards a game with 3 touchdowns this season. 3 passing touchdowns this season. He's been sacked 21 times, Dave. 3 a game. 3 sacks per game. Now, talk me into taking a rookie quarterback, Dave.
Well, look at the talent around him. Is there a player on his offense?
Kelvin Benjamin.
Come on, Kelvin Benjamin. Charlotte got rid of him. He's a tight end
He was a
masquerade.
Pro Bowl. Yes, you're right.
He's a hamburger away from being an offensive tackle, and he's your wide receiver. Come on, you can do better than that. No, there's no talent around him. Okay, and when a rookie,
That's a great hamburger line.
you look at the rookies coming in who
Yeah.
do succeed. Baker Mayfield, for example, succeeding now. Well, look at since they changed offensive coordinators.
Oh, I know.
9 touchdowns.
But
no,
Baker
wait
would
a
have been my
second.
number 1
9
pick.
touchdowns, 1 interception since they changed offensive coordinators, okay? And he has some talent around him. Okay, I have no idea where Josh Allen is going, but you cannot judge with this offense in his rookie year what he's doing. And I will take exception with, you say no one has it worse than the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East? Come on, they're 4-7. They've won 2. They're better than the Jets, and they are nipping at the Dolphins' heels with all these problems, and they're rebuilding. That's not
But
the
you went
worst.
from a playoff team to, I mean, the Jets are the Jets. Because keep in mind, and we're just talking about investing in quarterbacks. Since
Right.
Mark Sanchez, the Jets have invested 4 high picks in quarterbacks.
At least they're trying. At least they're trying.
Yeah.
Give them credit, Omar.
No, I don't want to be that. Now, I understand Ryan Tannehill's Ryan Tannehill. The top shelf of what he's going to accomplish and achieve is 10 wins. Get him competition. Get somebody who can come in here and learn and beat him out. But I don't want to say, it's not good enough. Let me just keep picking from the quarterback batch and see if something hits. I don't want to be the Jets. I don't want to be
You
the
know what I
Buffalo
want to
Bills.
be? I want to be the Chiefs. I want to be the Chiefs.
That's different.
Why? They made
How
they
they
made
went
the
out
right
and-
decisions. They made the right
They
decisions.
went one. They're Andy Reid, who is probably the best quarterback developer in all of football right now. Okay, 2, they traded for Alex Smith.
Well,
they traded and got Alex Smith from the 49ers. You want to go out and trade for Derek Carr? You said no. You want to go trade for Joe Flacco? You said no. You want to go trade for Eli Manning? You said no. Okay, when they decided that quarterback wasn't going to take them somewhere, they went out and they traded up and drafted a young guy.
I know what they did. I'm getting to that. That's why I want to be them.
Okay.
They made the right decisions. They got a guy. Let's remember, Alex Smith won an NFC championship game with a great game. Okay, that's not Derek Carr. Joe Flacco in a different lifetime won a Super Bowl. Okay, he's not that guy anymore. We know, right? So, but what they've done is they made good decisions in the front office.
That's fair.
That's helped make them win on the field, and that's what the Dolphins have done. Have the Jets with Sam Darnold? I don't know. Have the Bills with Josh Allen? I don't know. But you know what? They're trying.
That's all Dave wants. Dave wants to try something different.
I want to win. And this way isn't helping you win.
The Jets and Bills aren't winning. The Buffalo is coming to Miami. Can the defense stop? This question comes from Dougley Do-Right. Can the defense stop a rookie Josh Allen and his mobility from being a factor, knowing that Gaze has a good record at home and against rookie quarterbacks?
Well, let's start here. Buffalo, the lowest scoring offense in the league. So when you say, can the Dolphins defense stop them? Everybody's stopping them. So can the Dolphins stop them? I hope so.
The Jacksonville Jaguars didn't stop them last week.
Okay.
And that's a pretty good defense.
They have, well, that's a whole different issue we'll get to when Jacksonville's coming into town. But right now, Buffalo's coming into town, and everybody has had their way, especially on the road against the Bills. So remember the Jets game a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
What did I call that, a layup, Omar?
Yes.
This is another as layup as you're going to get, because this offense should not be able to score against your defense. And if you put up double-digit points, you have a decent chance of winning this game.
If you can put up double-digit points, which has been the issue. Our next question comes from Luke Fader. Which unit do you think will struggle the most against the physical Bills team?
Well, the offense is going to struggle because the Bills have a good defense.
Yeah.
They have a bad offense. I mean, that's
To me-
not a measure of the Dolphins, it's a measure of the opponent.
To me, it's the linebackers. LaShawn McCoy is still one of the most dangerous backs in the NFL, and as we've seen, the Dolphins have an issue stopping the run. It doesn't matter who you are. Marlon Mack got his last week. Right now, these defensive tackles are not playing good enough, and these linebackers are not getting the protection that they need, and they're struggling to cover tight ends. It's a recipe for disaster.
All right, Omar, this is a good one, right? Follows into that comment you just made from DJ Strauss. Will this be Jordan Phillips' revenge game?
Well, Mr. Jordan Phillips, who is not a fan of me,
No, he's
and
not.
I am not a fan of him.
No. We have the tweets to prove that, too.
I can verify and confirm there's very few things that motivates Jordan Phillips, but revenge is one of them. And I expect this to be a career game for Jordan Phillips. I expect the Buffalo Bills to line him out there as a captain. I expect the Jordan Phillips to sack Tannehill and do a happy dance over him, and to go and chime on the crowd. I think he's going to enjoy being the villain, and he's going to stare at Adam Gase every single time he makes a play.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
Does that make him a good player? No, it does not.
well, but he's what? Look, since going to Buffalo, he's had 7 stuffs of runs. That's one a game. That is something the Dolphins could use desperately on their defense. And we're getting back to around to, why did they cut him? I'm scratching my head. I get why they don't like him. We got that, but
do you want cancers on your team? Yes or no?
Cancer.
Jordan
Phillips a cancer. He wasn't good enough to be a cancer.
Jordan Phillips was about Jordan Phillips, which I get. If you're trying to build a team and trying to culture, and remember, they weren't as bad against the run. They had Vincent Taylor earlier in the season. They weren't as bad against the run as they are now. But let's be real, the defensive tackles that they've added, because they've sort of fallen apart as a team, they haven't helped that much either. Prediction time. One of us is 10-1.
Is that me?
You know it's you. You know it's you.
I didn't write the script.
One of us is 10-1, so we're going to give you the lead on prediction.
Oh boy, thanks, Omar. It's a little chilly out here, though, isn't it? In the South Florida cold?
It'll be warm by Sunday. I'm good.
All right. Well, this game, just because of the Dolphins, they're going to win. And they're going to win like 17-13. It'll be a defensive struggle.
Slot fest.
It'll just be a punt fest, probably. And the Dolphins have just enough talent to win at home and go to 6-6, and they'll be reading and writing all next week. What has to happen for them to make the playoffs?
To make the playoffs. We're going to pretend we're going to do that.
Yeah. We're going to pretend again in another December.
Listen, they got to get to 9, and to get to 9, you got to sweep the Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to win at home, but then that game up in Buffalo, I've been to Buffalo, and this is the last week of the season. I'm not looking forward to that trip, and neither are the Dolphins. You're going to need your heaters. You're going to need your bubble jackets. It's going to be cold. Depending on whether or not they're in or out, I really don't think they will sweep the Buffalo Bills, but I am going to predict a win this week. I'm going to go with 17-14. Well, thank you for watching X's and Omars, which is brought to you from Gulfstream Park. We're out here at Yard House every Wednesday at noon. Looking forward to hear from you, Dolphin fans.